3 billion people live across this vast continent called Asia, and we are telling their stories. On this edition, Living in Limbo. The hopes and fears of refugees caught in the middle, between their camp in Thailand and the home many of them never knew. A temporary escape. Young Syrian refugees in Jordan look to Shakespeare for a little healing. And juggling responsibilities. A group of Nigerian teens learn to balance a new skill with a new culture.
I'm Natalie Carney, and this is Assignment Asia. Welcome to the program. One of the most important things a person needs is a home, for reasons like shelter, a feeling of security, and a sense of belonging. But in Asia, many people are forced to leave their homes and in some cases live in a sort of limbo. CCTV's Martin Lowe visited a refugee camp in Thailand where people fled persecution only to end up in another kind of prison.
When she was just 6 years old, Ai Tui witnessed her mother's murder. Soldiers came to her village in Myanmar, looting and killing. Alone and frightened, Ai joined fellow villagers fleeing the bloodshed. Like hundreds of thousands before them, they walked through the Myanmar jungle to cross the border into neighbouring Thailand and found shelter in makeshift camps. Today, the camps have been here for 30 years. Ai is now 20. She's lived at the largest camp, Lear, for 14 years. At one time, it was home to 45,000 Myanmar refugees. There's been 6 decades of bitter conflict in Myanmar. Government has fought rebel, community has fought community. But now, finally, there are peace talks, human rights reform, and preparations to send the refugees home. An aspiration you'd think many would welcome, but most do not want to go. Many people in the camps have never seen or cannot remember Myanmar. Almost half the people here at Lear are under 17. The prospect of being taken to a country about which they've heard so many frightening things fills them with fear. Many here have little knowledge of what's beyond the guard wire and sentry posts. They're forbidden by the Thai authorities to stray more than a few kilometres from the perimeter. The refugees are stateless and without identification. Lear is the only home they know. But Thailand will not give the refugees citizenship. It would like to see the camps closed. Even though they've been here since the 1980s, Thailand still classifies these camps as temporary shelters. Access by outsiders is strictly controlled. We were allowed a brief visit, around 3 hours, but we were accompanied by guards at all times, and what we could film was severely restricted. There are now 9 camps remaining, with a population in excess of 100,000. I found the people to be open, friendly, and resilient. They live in bamboo and thatch huts, which are basic and sit closely together. But that proved dangerous in March 2013. At another camp, Ban Mae Syrian, a cooking fire spread out of control. The flames ripped through the settlement. 37 people, including young children, were killed, and more than 200 injured. 400 homes were destroyed, along with schools, a hospital and a food warehouse. More than 2,000 people were again left homeless in the worst tragedy since the camps opened. After the fire was out, requests were made to build new huts with metal roofs to make them more fire resistant, but that was refused. Perhaps it might have signalled a more long-term arrangement. Tin Maung was a farmer in Myanmar until soldiers arrived at his village in early 2000 and forced people at gunpoint to abandon their homes. They started by burning down the mosque. Tin, his wife and 6 children sought refuge in Thailand. As a Muslim, he says he has little confidence in predominantly Buddhist Myanmar.
Just when people will have to leave remains uncertain, but already thoughts are shifting from caring for the refugees to preparing them for a return to Myanmar. In the words of one aid agency, it's coming to the end game.
For the future, the best hope, as so often, may lie with the young. Tut Tet Tet Ong is 15 and has lived at Mea La for 8 years. She knows one day the camp will close. She recalls nothing of her homeland, but she has an open mind and says if conditions were right, she would be willing to return. The Karen Refugee Committee has said Myanmar's reforms signal a ray of hope. They support repatriation, but only after tough conditions have been met, from a secure countrywide ceasefire to clearing millions of landmines laid along the border.
At some point, people here will have to face the prospect of leaving. They face being taken to a country which many have never seen, whose language many cannot speak, and of which their only knowledge is stories of atrocities passed down generation to generation.
For now, life in the camps goes on. But those who sought refuge here fear that soon forced repatriation may come, and an unknown future will again await them. For Assignment Asia, I'm Martin Lowe at the Mea La refugee camp on the Thai-Myanmar border.
The fate of these refugees has become even more uncertain since we filmed that story. Thailand has pledged to deport them back across the border to Myanmar. Still to come on Assignment Asia.
Channeling Shakespeare. How a classic play is healing the children of war.
The stories on this week's program focus on life away from home. And the Zatari refugee camp in Jordan is one place where many Syrians are calling home these days. Time passes slowly there while the fighting continues in their home country. Children in particular are forced to grow up rather quickly. But one man is encouraging them to experience their creative side. I traveled to Jordan to watch these kids be kids again.
قالوا سابقا أعطني مسرحا أعطيك شعبا فمجرد ما الإنسان فما بالك الطفل اللي هو أنقى وأنظف فتنا عليهم بحالة المسرح بحالة الأداء اللعب هو المسرح لعب.
Shakespeare once wrote, "To be or not to be, that is the question." As refugees of war, many of these children have contemplated this themselves. But today they have a chance to focus their energy on something different. They get to act in a montage of Shakespeare's classic tragedies, King Lear and Hamlet. The plays are about a family's love and loss, and for 12-year-old Wiam, it's helped her deal with the impact of the war back home. For one day, they will leave their refugee camp to travel to Jordan's capital, Amman, and perform in front of a live audience at one of the most historic Roman amphitheaters in the world. Since fleeing Syria, the children now call this place home. The Zatari refugee camp was opened by the Jordanian government in 2012 to house those who escaped the war. Its population is said to be anywhere between 120 to 150,000. It's the world's second largest refugee camp. As the war rages on in Syria, refugees have developed a functioning community here. Neighborhoods have been established with people buying and selling everyday items from makeshift shops. Wiam and 9 of her family members fled their hometown of Dara in early 2013. Back in Syria, she attended school regularly. Here in Zatari, she hasn't set foot in a classroom.
احنا من يوم كنا نروح على القرية بالمدرسة بحبها كثير وهون حاب اني اروح بس الاب مش يعني ما هوش حاس انه احنا لازم هو حاب انه نقرا.
Wiam's father feels the school is too far away for her and her siblings and does not agree with the curriculum. So she spends her days doing housework and playing with her family and friends. A life she finds boring and routine.
احنا قبل ما نعمل العرض كنا قاعدين وما عليناش اشي بس اجوا علينا وقالوا في مسرحية وبروفات واحنا ما كان عندنا شغل كثير.
Wiam was cast to play Cordelia, King Lear's youngest and most beloved daughter, while her cousin Majid, whom she met for the first time in the Zatari camp, won the starring role as King Lear. 14-year-old Majid and his family also come from Dara. Unlike Wiam, though, Majid goes to school in the camp. He has to balance his schoolwork with rehearsals.
داومنا أول جمعة بروفات بدون مدرسة. كنا نأخذ الأوقات من 9 الصبح لل4 المساء. كنا ننبسط كثير.
There are only a few schools in Zatari, but they are not much more than a place for parents to send their children during the day. There is no curriculum, and many teachers are said to be poorly trained. Most of the students have fallen a couple of years behind because of the war.
عدد الصف يكون كبير في الغالب. عدد الصف يتجاوز من 80 إلى 100 شخص تقريبا. طالب من طالب. بعض التجهيزات في المدرسة غير مؤهلة. عدم وجود كهرباء في المدرسة مثلا. في الغالب هاي الأشياء.
All this will have a significant impact on the country's future, according to aid organizations.
بدها تأثر، يعني هي فعلياً رح تأثر عليهم نفسياً، تأثر عليهم. هذا الجيل رح يطلع جيل غاضب، جيل حاقد، جيل عنده كره للي حواليه، كره للناس اللي ظلموه، لأنه فعلياً ما شفنا مين يوقف وقفة مشرفة مع هؤلاء الأطفال.
Which is why this play is so important. Beyond just relieving the kids of their boredom, it's hoped the play will restore the children's minds with excitement for the future.
أنتمي لهذه الثورة إني بعد هؤلاء الأطفال، أطفالنا اليوم صار لهم 3 سنين بلا مدارس. أنا مهمتي إني رجع هؤلاء الأطفال، حط براسهم، رجع لهم المسرح، رجع لهم الموسيقى، رجع لهم الضحكة، رجع لهم العلم، فهم.
After 6 months of rehearsals and organizing all the documents needed to travel to Amman, the big day has finally arrived.
هلا عم يحكوا لي اهالي الاطفال اللي اجوا مع الاطفال انه امبارح كل الليل مو نايمين، الاطفال ما ناموا من فرحتهم انه هذا اليوم بالنسبه لهم يوم عيد. محبوسين بالمخيم، ما طلعوا برات المخيم ولا متر لبرا،
The smiles on these children's faces are contagious. Rarely do they get to leave the camp. For some of them, this is the first outing for them in over 2 years. And considering the horrific memories some of them are harboring, this day is very special. It's a day to play make-believe. It's a day to forget the realities they live in and just be kids.
لأنه بأول مرة لأنه بنفوت بعمان وشغلات كثيرة تعرفنا عليها ويعني وألعاب كثيرة وحلوة كثير لهيك انبسطنا.
The excitement carried on throughout the afternoon. Excited to be in the Jordanian capital, but with their beloved Syria still very much in their hearts.
الأطفال في مخيم، الناس في مخيم الزعترية يعيشون الثورة 24 ساعة، وبالتالي هذا الطفل بده يسمع من أهاليه، هذا الطفل بشكل أو بآخر عم يسمع من أهله ما يجري من أحداث يومية، القصف والقتل والدمار والدم والذبح إلى آخره. هذا الطفل صار معبأ بهي الأفكار، معبأ بهي المصطلحات. صار في عنده هم آخر اللي هو هم المسرحية، بده يطلع منيح، بده يطلع أحسن من رفيقه، ورفيقه بده يطلع أحسن من رفيقه. في هذا التنافس، هذا التنافس الحلو اللطيف الطفولي عمليا.
Backstage, the kids are filled with nerves and anticipation.
شعوري متحمس ومتوتر لأنه نروح على عمان. انبسطنا من يوم ما قالوا في طلعة على عمان، وبنفس الوقت متوترين شلون بدنا نسوي المسرحية قدام 2000 شخص من الجمهور.
Shakespeare's play Hamlet is a powerful tragedy about murder and revenge. And it's not difficult for these children of war to relate to the subject matter. However, now, through this play, these children are able to use those painful emotions to create an experience of a lifetime.
كان رائع جدا وما كناش متوقعين اللي قاعدين نسويه احنا. كنا مفكرين تنجح نجاح بسيط لانه كل الطلاب كانوا متلبكين.
أنا حسيت أني ما كانت المسرح تطلع جيدة لأنه الأطفال كانوا أول شيء كانوا متلبكين كثير ومو مبسوطين، بس هسه انبسطوا كثير وحسيت إنه فرحة ونجح المسرح على طول إن شاء الله بنوصل.
مسكي كل الصعوبات، طبعا كان في صعوبات كثير بس بينساها الواحد أمام ضحكة الأطفال، أمام فرح الأطفال.
To be or not to be now holds new meaning of the future for these children.
By the start of 2015, the United Nations had estimated there were more than 3.5 million Syrian refugees, most of them spread across the region around Syria. Half of those refugees are under the age of 18. This is Assignment Asia, still to come on the program.
Juggling two lives, how these teens from Nigeria found balance in China.
The chance to study abroad is a dream for many students, but it usually requires quite a bit of money or an excellent academic record. Fei Yi met up with one group of students who traveled more than 10,000 kilometers to study, but they're not doing it at a conventional school.
It's difficult. It is stressful. It's fun, can be fun. When you know how to do some certain things, it becomes really, really fun to do.
She trains 7 to 8 hours a day, juggling, twirling, spinning. Tammy Aya is 16. Back home, she's a former Miss Teen Nigeria, but here she's a student. learning a foreign and ancient art. Chinese acrobatics is a tremendous show of skill and coordination. Audiences are wowed by the performances, which have become world-renowned. Chinese acrobatics originated 3,000 years ago here in the northeastern city of Wuqiao. Even now, thousands come every year to train. Tammy and 7 other Nigerian teenagers are here at the Wuqiao Acrobatic Art School on a scholarship arranged by the Nigerian and Chinese governments. It takes years of training to perfect the skills and pull off the impressive performances, but these students have only 1 year to learn as much as they can. 6 days a week, morning and afternoon, they practice. But it isn't the only thing about China they have to learn. Being in a country so different from home is daunting for any teen. Adjusting to the school's rigid schedule is making it extra tough.
这个他们就是说，因为杂技你毕竟它是要付出一定的那个体力，甚至呢要想这个技艺要想精湛的话，可能还要也得要受一定的这个苦，吃一定的苦。这个时间观念不强。
The physical training is grueling, and then there's the language barrier.
We don't really understand what they say, but we try.
Neck, head.
But for some lessons, there's no need for words.
但是老师们都非常有耐心，就是我说不动，但我可以伸手去拉他。当他们过了一段时间，这个自己的技巧有一定进步的时候，他们感觉很有成就感，非常高兴。慢慢的，这个对这个兴趣越来越浓厚。现在他们都能够做到主动的去。
When they are not in the gym, they are in the classroom learning Chinese. Exhausting for the mind after their bodies become exhausted in the gym. Back in the gym, and today the lesson is about always being prepared. The students have been here for 2 months, and the academic director just surprised them with a test. 4 examiners asked them to go through each routine. But the students are nervous. Everything goes horribly wrong.
很可能他要这种水平的话，要惩罚他。
Leader C, Aya and Dukui. Don't like this. Practice hard, work hard.
必须得努力去做去，必须努力去做去。你不给他笑，
work hard.
不给他笑，哎，必须努力，更加努力才行嘞。
Once the examiners leave the room, Tammy brings the students together.
I don't like the comments that mommy made. I don't feel bad, but I don't like the comments. Like you did rubbish. That's what it just looks like. You just did rubbish.
Fellow student Anidi tries to focus on the positive.
This is the first time we are doing anything like that, and this is the first time we are being tested.
In Nigeria, Anidi is the youngest of 3 children. Here, he's the big brother.
就是说给他们一说话，咱们说一些个问题啊，他就是说理解的特别快，而且他的组织能力发现他挺不错。比方说他们有的时候训练，有时候老师看不到，没说嘛，他们随意性强嘛，有时候训练就找不着人了嘛，我就可以给他说，说完了以后他再给他们交代，
But it's almost impossible for these teens to catch up with their Chinese counterparts. The training for the Chinese students is much more rigorous. The practice hours are longer and tougher, because for them, this will be their career. So what can these students expect to gain?
I want to be the best at everything. I want to try my hardest to just make everything really good. Because I can't just come and for 1 year and not be able to do anything. And I go back, what did you learn? What did you learn? I'm like, I can throw hats.
And so for the next 7 months, Tammy, Anidi, and the other 6 Nigerians go through the same routine. Training, sleeping, Chinese lessons, and more training. Until finally the big day, the final performance, their final exam. It's been a roller coaster of a ride for Tammy, filled with emotional highs and lows.
Maybe along the way, I've had like some, thoughts and like, why did I come here? It's not worth it. But now looking at everything, I think it's really worth it. I think it's amazing. It's an experience. Like this kind of opportunity doesn't come every day.
They have shown so much improvement in their final 2 months here. Even the strict academic director offers words of praise.
应该说比他们刚进校的时候进步的很快。可能刚来的时候，他们入门训练的时候，进步比较慢。
Quite a contrast from their first surprise test. This final performance goes well. Tammy's elated.
If anyone should see me doing this, they'll be like, wow, oh my God, the table's gonna fall, oh my God, I'm scared, I've never seen anyone doing this before. So I'm really happy that I am able to do that because I spent a year learning how to do it. And it's part of me, it's part of my life, and I'm very happy I came here to learn this. No regrets.
Tammy says she doesn't plan to pursue acrobatics professionally. With the final test over, she's ready to go home. For Anidi, though, it's a different story.
I would definitely like to teach. But on the other hand, before I teach, I would like to show people that, okay, this is what I can do. If not, they won't take me seriously. In Nigeria, we don't really have acrobatics like that. We only have them during festivals and carnivals. But they're not, it's not like professional.
Anidi is applying to return to Wuqiao in the next year. As tough as it is to be away from home, being here will help him realize his ambitions. For Simon Asia, I'm Fei Ye in Wuqiao, China.
In addition to the students from Nigeria, the Wu Chiao Acrobatic Art School also trains students from Egypt. You can find out more about this and all the stories in today's program on our website, www.assignment-asia.com.
Share your thoughts and contribute story ideas for future shows by contacting us on social media.
That's all the time we have for this week's program. I'm Natalie Carney. Thank you for watching, and join us again on Assignment Asia.